Somebody said it to you in your first week, probably kindly. You'll get used to it. And over time, you did. I want to spend some time with that sentence, not to make it wrong. It was probably said with care. This is not about the person who said it. It's about what that sentence is doing. Because a sentence like that, said kindly in a first week, is one of the small ways an entire way of relating to difficult conditions can pass between people, and it's worth looking at closely. Listen to what the sentence actually asks. You'll get used to it. It contains a prediction. Over time, this will become easier for you to bear. And it contains an instruction, though nobody framed it that way. What you should do with what is currently unbearable is to adapt to it. It converts a piece of information about the conditions into a stage you are expected to move through. If somebody had said the workload here is unsustainable and it is unsustainable for everybody, that would have been information about the conditions. You could have done something with that. What you got instead was different. You were told that your response to the conditions was the thing that would change. Notice the small transfer that happens there. What was the systems to hold has become something for you to manage. And notice that the sentence relies on being said kindly. Said sharply, you would have heard it as an instruction and might have questioned it. Said kindly, it sounds like reassurance. The same sentence, said the same way, does the same work, whether the person saying it knows what it is doing or not. Follow the sentence backwards for a moment. Who said it to you? Probably somebody a few years ahead of you, somebody near enough to your situation to remember it, far enough through it to feel like that they had made it. And somebody said it to them. We don't know where the sentence started. What we can say is that no single person invented it, no single person decided to teach it, and no policy document contains it. It travels between people. That's one of the ways working cultures pass through time, not only through written rules and formal training, through what gets said to a newer person in a first week by somebody who is now trying to help. The sentence has an interesting property. It arrives just when a person is most likely to receive it. In a first week, everything is uncertain. You do not know yet what is normal. You do not know yet what your capacity for this work is. And into that uncertainty, a colleague says something that appears to answer the question you were quietly holding. Is this always going to feel like this? The answer arrives in the form of a promise. No, it will get easier. You'll get used to it. And because you're new, and because the person seems kind, and because you have no other reference point, you take the sentence and you carry it, which is what you did. Now follow the sentence forwards. You took it in. You believed it, roughly. You made the adjustments. Some of them were small. Something startled you in month 2 and you noticed it startling you. And you noticed also that nobody else seemed to be startled. And you filed that away. Something bothered you in month 5 and you mentioned it once and the response was small and you didn't mention it again. Something you would have called wrong in your first week became by month 8 just how it is on that ward. None of this happened deliberately. You didn't sit down and decide to adjust. You did what human beings do when they need to keep functioning inside conditions they cannot immediately change. You adapted. And the sentence you were given in your first week was there, in the background, telling you that this was the correct thing to be doing. You are getting used to it. That is what is supposed to happen. After a while, you are no longer the newest person. Somebody arrives in their first week, and something in their face tells you that they're asking the question you are asking then. And you find yourself opening your mouth to say the thing that was said to you, probably kindly. If you want to look at what got handed to you in your first week, alongside other people doing the same, Cross the Threshold is a week for that. 7 days, guided, a shared language for these transmissions. The sentence did its work. You're still here. You're still doing the work. You would still stay late tomorrow if somebody needed you. And you have adapted to some things that in your first week you would have said were not adaptable to. That adaptation is real. It's part of how you continued. It's not a failure of yours. It's a fact about human beings. But the volume does not come back up on its own. The things you stopped noticing stay unnoticed. The things you stopped saying stay unsaid. And the sentence you received in your first week is now available to you to hand to someone else. The reason to look at it is that something is being transmitted. And once you can see it, you have a choice about whether to transmit it further. Not by refusing to be kind to a newer colleague, by being kind to them in a way that does not require them to treat their own unsustainability as a thing that needs to change. That's a small choice in one interaction, and it will not change the conditions of the work. The staffing will be what it is. The pace will be what it is. But the sentence is one of the ways that conditions have been made to feel ordinary. And a person who has had to look at the sentence closely is a person for whom the conditions do not feel quite as ordinary anymore. Next time you hear somebody say it to a student or a new colleague, notice what is being handed over.